were all sorts of rumors that went around, and it wasn't until Susan Atkins, who was arrested with some other people in an unrelated crime, was in the Sybil Brand Institute and decided to confess to her cellmates. Chaos. It was insanity. In those days, they allowed camera crews in the hallways outside the courtroom, and the court hallway was so jammed with cameras you could barely move. When Manson finally was let in, and he was this little teeny character with scraggly hair and a buckskin jacket, and obviously was enjoying the whole scene. There were all kinds of crazy things going on. The Manson women were camped on the sidewalk outside. They were threatening to immolate themselves if Manson was convicted. And then the ultimate was when Manson got upset and he propelled himself across the counsel table at the judge with a pencil in his hand, screaming, "Someone should cut your head off, old man."
The first day of trial, Charlie had carved an X into his head, and he issued a statement through his girls on the corner that he had X'd himself out of the world. And I believe the next day the women defendants had X's also. I believed that Charlie sent Tex and the others out the first night for two reasons. One was to put the fear of God into Terry Melcher, because Melcher used to live where Sharon Tate lived. But the other was to actually have a copycat murder to get Bobby Beausoleil out of jail.
I met Bobby Beausoleil in San Francisco, and I had a huge crush on him like most girls did. He was gorgeous. His nickname was Cupid. That's how, he had the most beautiful mouth and everything. He was just slightly manipulative with the girls, but I would never have imagined he could have committed such crimes.
I had 20 minutes. I interviewed Manson. He did try his staring tricks, of course, and so I'm a pretty good starer too, and it was only 20 minutes, so we just stared at each other for 20 minutes. The Manson family decided to hold a press conference at Spawn Movie Ranch. They wanted to sell Manson's rock album, and they thought they'd make some money, and the girls invited us into the trailer. So being young and thinking nothing could possibly happen to us, we went in the trailer and we all sat around, and they had this little baby named Elf, and he was quite filthy, but we passed him. He was being passed around among all the women, and we took our turns holding Elf. And we talked about amazing things like chocolate chip cookie recipes. It was just like girl talk.
Your relationship with Elf, it's really different from any other baby I've ever seen before.
Yeah, well, we all take care of him. In other words, we're all his mother. We all treat him as our own. And actually, we belong to him. Because that's how it is with babies. They're very aware. And they get your attention any way they can, So actually they own you. But like, we follow him. He's our leader, really, because he'll show us. Babies can show you a lot, because they're totally at peace with themselves, and you can get a lot of peace from them if you can sit down and be with them for long periods of time.
The girls were insistent that I must buy a copy of the record, and I was making $120 a week for Radio News West, and $5 for a record was outrageous, especially one that I didn't know that I would have any interest in. So they said, "That's okay, we know you. You're running around downtown all the time. We see you pass by us when we're sitting on the sidewalk there. Every time you go past us, give us a quarter." So I agreed to do that. So I have the record, and this is the record. And then even after they carved X's in their foreheads and were crawling down the streets, I paid them a quarter.
There was so much weird going on, so much weird. It was the ultimate trial of the 60s. It was a trial of the whole era.